Yes, sir. Okay, we'll open the nomination up for vice chair. Do I hear any?
I nominate Ed Land.
Does it require a second?
Does not require a second.
Okay. Give that time to sink in. Are there any other nominations? Well, hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote. If you would, like Adam suggested, raise hand and voice at the same time, we'll vote for Mr. Ed Land for vice chair. All those in favor of Mr. Ed for vice chair, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so Mr. Ed makes the vice chair. Congratulations. And then secretary, we have the option of nominating someone or asking the county staffer to do it.
Yeah, certainly. If one of y'all wants to be secretary, I won't stop you from that.
Do we have any volunteers for secretary?
But generally speaking, having staff do it is probably a little more effective.
I like it a lot better myself.
Now, you can always, if you want to step down from chair and be secretary instead, we can always, we can revote on that if you want to.
I like the job you've been doing, and it works quite well. It works well with you being our coordinator.
It suits me, huh?
It suits you
We're
very
all
well.
for it.
So all those in favor, or do we need a nomination or?
Nomination, yes, sir.
I'll nominate Adam.
Thanks, sir.
All those in favor of Mr. Adam?
Aye.
Aye. And congratulations. Continue doing the fine job you're doing. I'd like to welcome everybody to 2020, and it occurred to me I didn't properly send everybody out of 2019 with a Merry Christmas, so Merry belated Christmas and Happy New Year, and welcome to a new year, and I hope we have a prosperous and productive new year. I think we will. Next item on the agenda is the 2020 calendar, the meeting schedule. So, it's about the same as the previous years, if I recall.
That's correct, except for May. May's Thursday because something happens on May, that Monday in May. I'm not sure what it is, but. So there we go, and also it's got the first meeting for 2021 on that. Isn't that weird? 2021 is a real time that we're gonna be part of. Like,
I'd like to say if that's the national championship game again, that we have it on another day.
A good suggestion, yeah.
I'm serious, because it's like every year it's been that
You got any
way.
Yeah, but if
glasses?
it's 8 o'clock.
Every year we've had it,
Yeah.
from the very first year.
Should we address that now, or as time gets?
You might jinx it if you do it now.
Yeah.
Well, let's
that's
just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
keep that
that.
in mind.
Keep that in mind, but yeah.
How flexible are we, or how much notice do we need to give when we change it?
well, I mean, it's such a high, we have a lot of people be let down if we don't hold it on that Monday. I mean, those are the two high test things. It's the national.
National championship.
Ag Bowl. No, it's all televised. This is international.
They're sitting at home watching this now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the pregame.
We can change it. It's definitely changeable. But we got to change it at the best case is to change it in the December meeting, so we can just see what the football
Sure, by
staff-
then.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Any comments or other comments on the schedule?
Don't have a problem with
You
it.
don't have to-
It's basically the same as it's been, so. All those in favor of accepting the 2020 calendar of meetings, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? I hope not. Okay, it passes. Let's look at the minutes from the last meeting and real quick and approve those. Questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Number 5, agricultural elements, goals, objectives, and strategies for implementation.
What if I may? So while the comprehensive plan has of yet to been before council officially, the planning commission is going to send some, recommendations to council or thoughts, saying, hey, this is, some of the things we'd like to look at, or things that have been, of high priority for the citizens. So if the ag board would like to do that, maybe as a group or individually, you can send it to me as far as what you all would like to see, like priorities for you for this coming year. So these are the comp plan elements, and granted, this has not been voted on by council, but you can still look at it. So if there's any one of these who stands out to you as a priority, or something you feel strongly about, we can either look at that tonight, or you can send it to me after the fact, and I can get it out to you. You got some time, so.
I like the fact that you put communications, that we're starting to work on communications a little more concentratedly. Since we have the food summit coming up, do we want to look at something related to that?
There are several things in here really that go along with that, that we were addressing at that. One thing I think we talked about before is, the adoption of a county right to farm policy would be a priority.
I like this one in 8.1110, which is strategy to create a staff position for agricultural communications coordinator.
Yeah, I think that should be a priority as well.
How you doing? Welcome. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
We're just talking about the priorities that we'd like to see on the 2020 plan. If we want to set a few out front and mention it to the planning commission. I'm interested in the setbacks and how we are on that, where we are on the setbacks, the DHEC poultry farm setback situation.
Debbie, as you mentioned, there is objective 831, eliminate food deserts and ensure access to healthy food. And that would go along well with the food summit coming up. And there's several strategies.
So if you all like, we can kind of look at it like this, or you all want to individually get with me, or, I mean, we're talking about some things now, but as far as prioritizing things, really come up with, so for instance, County Right to Farm Act, that kind of seems like something that's very attainable, as far as like us writing something up and us getting something. It doesn't require assets, it doesn't require us getting funding for anything, it just requires some research and some doing some things. The county staff position, if that's something we're interested in, I'd recommend that we get together and kind of look at creating a proposal for it, and as opposed to just say, hey, council, create a staff position, give a
Oh, yeah.
Job description.
job description, a rationale for it, this is what we're looking for. So that's something we can work towards and work on if y'all are interested in doing that.
Yeah.
I agree. That one will take a good bit of planning and input.
I do think that should be one of our priorities though, because that probably will take a little while for it to be implemented.
No time like the present to start.
That's right.
That's right.
So if that's something you're all interested in for the next budget year or even the one after that, that's something we can look at, but I will need y'all's input. I'll need some help on that as far as what you want to see. So if you have any thoughts on that, email it to me, or call me, and stop in, we can work on it together, kind of rough in what that would look like. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something more than,
Just the, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Also, I think one of the things that I think is a priority for me anyway is the use of underutilized vacant property in the county for community gardens or that kind of thing. And I know that it's going to take a lot of work on that too, but I think a program that is similar to Atlanta's Grows a Lot is a good starting point for that. Of course, I mean, that would have to be modified for our situation, but I'd like to see that, maybe get started in maybe one area in each district or something like that. I think that's something that we could shoot for as a goal.
Very much so.
and so that, once again, just like the job description one, that would be, we put forth a proposal. Say, hey, we'll do the research on it, proposal, what it looks like, what it walks like, talks like, kind of thing, goals. That's,
Okay.
You got some examples you're thinking of?
Yeah, like I said, the Atlanta Grows a Lot. There also, I was talking to Mike Louderbranch today, and his daughter is working with a mission group up in, I think it's Baltimore. And they're doing that similar type of thing with vacant property in Baltimore. And it's really gone over great. It seems to be, which is interesting to me, it's more of an urban areas that are doing this. But, I mean, we should be able to, then it should make it easier for us because I call it, it's hard to say rule, but the unurban areas, I believe that we could implement something like that. We should be able to, with even with less, effort, maybe.
Yeah, it's just the key is finding the right coordinators to run it, I
Right.
think.
It's something, go ahead, sir.
I'll go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
just thought of something looking at one of these pictures. I think it'd be a cool thing in parallel with what Debbie's talking about to try to start a program with the solid waste of Oconee County for recycled containers to do container gardens. The mulch from down there that could be used to put in those gardens and all kind of things that may come out of the solid waste used to grow vegetables and fruit. But just think of somebody, all of a sudden they came in with a whole tractor trailer load of these big pots they want to get rid of or something like that. But to start keeping an eye out for things like that that could be used in a container garden as well as in vacant lots. But, I mean, it's just going to be a partnership that work together to use that stuff.
The interstates are messed up in Birmingham due to construction and they route you through downtown, and I went past one of these on a prominent corner in the middle of downtown Birmingham, and it was flourishing and it was pretty, very productive. So I agree. Let's see what we can do.
so we've mentioned several things tonight. How do we want to go about either kind of qualifying them or quantifying them as a priority for the year, or just these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, the priorities for you all for the year, or these things that we want basically planning commission has, so this is one chapter of the comprehensive plan, there's 9 others, and planning commission will look and kind of send those ideas out. So do we just try to figure out some of the more nuts and bolts first of these items, or do we just kind of send the general idea out?
I think it's gonna take a little bit of, at least a description or an example, which what word I'm trying to look for, to go along with, but I wouldn't wanna go too deep in it, just to read the initial,
General.
pitch, or whatever you're gonna call it with the planning commission, maybe just to have several things that are say, this is the priorities of the Ag Advisory Board, and this is what it might look like, or something of that nature.
a description.
Yeah,
When I hear priority, I think, make a list, 1, 2, 3, I'd take those and say which one's most important to me. Maybe everybody could do that, and we could match them up,
that sounds
come
good.
to a consensus or whatever, something like that. I don't know.
We got four things in one kind of broad strategy objective. These three, using getting County Right to Farm Act, getting, ag planner, getting vacant property, those are very, tangible, finite things. We can work on creating a little blurb, a couple paragraph blurb about each of those items, maybe a statement of need, something of that nature, and then pass that along if that's what you all would like to do. Well, just like I said, so we don't, we're not, worrying what color shoelaces the person's wearing.
Right.
While they're like, yeah, we don't have funding for 5 years for it. So I think that could work. So if y'all would, I'll kind of send out some homework. Y'all are really good at getting back to me on that stuff. So we'll work on it like that, okay? That'll work. I'll send you out little blurbs for stuff. You all kind of edit and kind of get with me on that. Tell me what you think.
Sounds great. All right. Let's move on to number 6, communication. And one of our little 3 priorities were to encourage all members to write some letters and talk to people. And if you can't write or don't have time, maybe designate a friend or relative to write something agricultural.
Also, the contact list, one person gave me a phone number. Anybody else had any time to look at that contact list at all?
I know Miss Carrie did.
Carrie's gonna get us, I know she mentioned it, I know.
She emailed it, and I forwarded it to you. I think she emailed it to you too, some pen and ink additions.
Okay, I'm sorry that I did not look at that.
It was late in the day, she might not have seen it, but, yeah, so let's try to think of all your suppliers or providers or vendors or whatever you want to call them, and people to contact that can help with such as the Atlanta thing or, local things, people to contact for assistance. Who would you go to if you wanted to buy earthworms for your garden or something? I don't know, silly like that, but we need names and numbers to build our list.
In addition to the list, though, we're still talking about a clearinghouse for information when we talk about communication. Is that on?
That's part of it. That's what makes the clearinghouse, I think.
We're gonna create a phone book, but then what we're gonna do with it?
Distribute. We're gonna figure out the proper hub. We're learning of people that are doing and sending things like that, so we'll attach or send or whatever.
So Carrie, that means she did send it to me, as you mentioned. I believe we had spoken about creating an outlet to compile, there's enough farms that some stuff goes on, enough agriculture business that something's going on probably pretty much all year round, yet it's all that information's some people don't have Facebook, some people don't read the paper, some people don't look at the extension website. So if we could get all the information once a month and then distribute that information out across all of those different ways of getting information out equally, then no matter what your level of technology is or your method of communication, you go, oh, look, there's a farmer's market open, there's a roadside stand here, there's a training going on, and we could act as kind of a way to broadcast that information out. I believe that's what the conversation was.
And if the county had a full-time person to do that, would he or she be the logical hub?
Oh, yeah, right now it would be Vivian and I, if we can, but now that Harry did a great job at filling this out, with that much information, I'll probably grab you, Ms. Blunt, and we'll probably just write a letter out to all these groups and say, hey, and we'll probably have to call them and some things, but if we get 10, there looks like to be about, 30 numbers here, if we get at least half of them and send them out once a month, what's going on your farm, what's happening here, with your business, there's something here that says goats for rent. I'm super excited about what that is. I'll bring a goat here next
That's
time.
really cool. It's a cool program, I tell you.
You only can rent one
Hey,
time.
Clemson's rented them 3 times to clear out 3 different locations over there. at
Well,
Fort
eat
Webb.
anything and everything.
It's great for a lot, for
I
like
got
a,
some goats I'll rent you for a barbecue.
yeah, these are, they're vacant lots. Or
They are great.
overgrown lots, so they'll eat.
There's a
anything.
lot of, in a lot of areas that do that.
A lot of cities use that, yeah, Portland,
Absolutely.
Oregon, a lot of
I'm trying to
places
think of
use
that guy.
goats.
And there's one man that's in business and he is
I
doing
know,
well
it's
with it.
somebody's kid, I know, I can't think of
The
his
Ronald,
name.
it's
Ronald
something.
Reagan Museum utilizes goats. I was thinking the Farm Center has a wonderful website, and I asked if they would be willing to host it, and I didn't get an answer yet, but
I believe they probably would be, I'm not 100% certain.
thought that would be a logical center.
And we could identify it, so we have this list, we reach out, we'll figure out who's interested in giving us information, and then we'll look at our different venues for ways to broadcast that information out. Is it, the Journal said they would put out, the calendar events, we get to them.
Kerry mentioned they do a lifestyle article every Saturday in the extension for the Journal.
That's right, so we have ways, so we start getting information in, we can make it work.
Yes, we can. Any further discussion? Would Debbie like to talk about the food summit?
Yeah, sure, I would like to do that. I know, by now, y'all have heard about the food summit, I know Amanda was here at the last meeting. We have, our place, it's Trinity Baptist Church in Seneca, February the 28th on Friday, 9 a.m. to 3:30. We're gonna have a little breakfast before 9 while we're doing registration. The keynote speaker, let me get her name right. Leslie Hosfeld from Clemson University. She's a dean of the College of Behavior, Social Health, and Health. They are working with the College of Agriculture on the the needs of the community. She's got a lot of experience with the social and needs of the real community, including food systems.
For 48 hours fans.
I'm really excited about hearing her speak, so I hope that, we really want all of y'all to be there. And Adam, I want to ask you, one thing I wanted to ask you is if we all did plan to go, do we have to announce that we're all gonna be there, or is this something that we don't have to do that far? And that we're just coming as individuals, or?
Gwen talked to me about it today and she said that if I couldn't go and stay all day, just people could come in and
Oh,
out.
yeah, we can do
to there.
that.
What I would go ahead and do is I'd probably hit y'all up a week or two before. Y'all can tell me if you're gonna go. If you're gonna go, I'll ask Mr. Blanton to call a meeting.
Okay.
And we'll do it like that. We've done it before, kind of
Yeah,
meetings.
well, that's what I wanted to make sure that,
Well, thanks
before
for-
we go too further, but, yeah, and it's gonna be, I know that some of you, Friday's not the best day, but we find, like we were talking about before, we had to pick a day. And we decided that during the week was good for, professionals. We're working with the schools to get ag teachers there. And so they can go during work time, they're getting them substitutes and that kind of thing. We also, just in case, there'll be follow-ups, and they won't all be on the weekdays, so don't worry if you don't get to come, we will have some follow-ups. The tickets are $20, you get lunch and a little, the breakfast, like I said, we're gonna start out with kind of an introduction, and explaining, what we're looking for and the ideas and some things that have already going on around us with examples from other areas. Then we'll have a panel discussion. We have people that are like farmers, producers, people who have restaurants, chefs, some consumers. Those that are interested in the food system will be speaking on this panel. Then Leslie, the dean, will speak, our keynote speaker, after the panel discussion and while people are having their lunch.
So she'll be speaking during lunch time.
Pretty much during lunchtime, saying that that's a good thing for somebody like you that may have something early in the morning. Around lunchtime will be a great time to be there when the dean's there speaking. In the afternoon, we're gonna do, breakout sessions, and there's, about 10 different categories that range from, what the Food Advisory Council is gonna look like, what it would look like to have community gardens on vacant property. There's, different topics, haven't nailed them all down yet or who the person's gonna be, but they're gonna be some very interesting areas, and we want people to break up in these groups, and it's gonna be kind of like a discussion and a think tank type thing, where people will talk about pros and cons and what we need to do, what our priorities should be, sort of like we did just now. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be great for our community, and it'll help us too to know what the community needs. We're also gonna talk about, there's a thing called a community food assessment, and I'm pretty sure the SNAP-Ed people out of the Department of Agriculture will do an assessment of our community and just see what our needs are, what we have in place, and how we can get together, and part of it's communication as well. Make your plans. It's a great opportunity for us, and it's a great place for us to start and to continue to have this, see what we need to feed our county.
Sounds wonderful. I've read that lady's background. She is very experienced, and I look forward to hearing her. Do y'all have a person or persons in charge of advertising and fundraising?
Yes, I'm on the marketing team, and we have a Facebook page, as well as a web page. We're working on some other advertising areas. And one thing that we do need are sponsors, and that's why I handed this out to you again. I gave y'all a couple copies. If you know of a business or a person or whoever that would be interested in a sponsorship, there's several different levels. Each level, you can get more tickets or whatever, and we're gonna use that money. Of course, the food for lunch and breakfast is gonna be local, so this is gonna cover food cost. And, the people who are gonna prepare it, and of course, the materials that we'll have there for you that day.
I was just wondering if there's a point person on that, so people aren't running around.
Yeah,
double dipping, hitting up
you
people.
can contact, I think you might have Mandeline's contact information that was here. You can always contact me. I'll get you to the right person, or I'll take care of it myself. Mandeline is really she's the coordinator of the whole thing, and she'll be glad to help you with it. And like I said, if you can't get a hold of her, just give me a call.
Yeah, I'd like to help contact some people if I can, but I don't
Sure.
want to double hit somebody that's
If
already
you can
been.
think of somebody that you want me to approach about coming, or you think needs to come, let me know. I mean, I'll go talk to them and get them there. I think that really the food is something that we're all interested in, whether we're growing it or whether we're consuming it. So, and then, we're also talking about those accessibility and affordability and distribution. Everything you can think of that has to do with food is going to be discussed that day. Probably things we hadn't even thought about.
This will be a good article for the paper and
Yes.
other venues.
Right, that's coming. We're gonna work on that. We really waited till after the holidays got over with so that we could really, get our feet on the ground. We figured that most people during the holidays aren't listening.
Right.
So expect to hear more about it in the next few days and few weeks.
Good, okay.
I'll try
Sounds
to
good.
answer any questions. Anybody have anything?
Look forward to it.
It sounds wonderful, and I look forward to it.
Anyway.
I have an extra if she needs one.
No, I gave her a couple copies there. I apologize, thanks to Adam for printing those, for my printer was down today, so I didn't get a chance to, but.
Once again, Mr. Chapman shines, as does Miss Vivian. And thank you, Miss Vivian and the county council for our wonderful T-shirts, our wonderful presents. We appreciate them. And next item is old business.
You're required to take a selfie in those shirts on the farm somewhere, by the way.
Okay.
Good idea.
I mentioned the ag setbacks. I'm interested in that, so we'll follow up for that as some of our priorities possibly. I hope so. And the comprehensive plan, we talked about that. Again, I like the agricultural communication part of it, and please, everybody, let's write somebody and talk to somebody. If everybody did one. Oh, one of the guys at the Farm Bureau was saying, I don't know if anybody sat in on it, but he was doing a social media presentation, and he said how powerful it was. He tweeted out a message, and within a little while, people had tweeted and retweeted 5,000 people in just minutes. So it's pretty powerful if you know how to use it, which I just do a little bit of Facebook, not much, but I can write. So let's all write some letters to Willie or editor or whoever you'd like to write and speak about agriculture. New business. I'd say continue to form bonds with other agencies and cultivate and communicate with our current and future groups. Everybody's in groups, and you be their liaison and talk to them and keep them informed of what we're doing, and try to get them involved. I invited some of the farm folks tonight. They couldn't make it, so let's just continue to communicate. Another new item is the 18th. There's a Living History Day at Bart Garrison Ag Museum from 10 to 3. From 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Saturday the 18th. It's $5 whether you're one person or two, or $10 for a family. So it's at Bart Garrison, which I'd like to remind everybody, that is the State Agricultural Museum.
It is busy.
It's amazing.
And this summer it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Even the adults, so many adults have signed up for all that stuff this summer.
And it's growing.
Of learning stuff that they never didn't know.
It's growing.
Absolutely.
They're building and growing the grounds and the buildings. If you haven't seen that Morse engine they have down there, it's a, 60 or 90 horsepower single cylinder engine. They fire it up on the ag days in April, and it's amazing.
The barn is beautiful that's going up. That is an old mule barn that was built in the 1800s, and they moved it from Star. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
So let's try to go out and support them. I know they've been going at it pretty hard for several years and have really grown. So it's a wonderful thing.
Trying to think of his name. Barry Stevenson's son works down there. Okay. And they came to my farm last summer and bought okra from me for their class that day to show how to pickle okra. And they bought a lot of okra.
I was down there that day when they came in.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I'm so glad for stuff like that for these homeschoolers. You know, the people that are homeschooling their children, it is right on, spot on for them to learn so much. And the history. And they show them how to make toys that was played with years ago. And the way things were done. And it's just, I mean, they enjoy it. They just love it. Because I've done a lot of field trips down there, and they just love it. And I do too. I love to go every chance I get.
Bart was a classmate of mine at Clemson.
He's great. I had one item that went with old business more than, but it slips my mind. I was going to ask Mr. Adam if he had any update on something, and I forgot what it was. So I'll email you when I think of it.
I've got one thing, Adam, is I know that with the comprehensive plan and some of the new things that the county's got, but how do we stand on zoning? Have we got any issues with the zoning in the county, or is everybody just it's kind of stagnating and standing still?
Sorry, your microphone must be broken, sir. I can't hear anything.
No,
Yeah, he heard that
just don't
mess.
want to talk.
There is zoning in parts of the county, I believe, since the large push on 15 or 16 maybe earlier than that, when all the real zoning occurred, or maybe it's earlier than that. But no, nothing regarding rezonings or things of that nature has taken place, at least in the last 3 years.
Good.
Well,
Yeah, let me say one other thing, and I'm through. You just brought it up right there, Marlene, you made a good point. One of a good priority, let's go back to what we done, a priority. You know, that's something that, I know that, the farm center down here is working on too, but a certified kitchen would be a great thing in this county, to where you could go, you know, do your canning or whatever, and especially if you got a certified kitchen where you could do that in, you know, if you went down and give it to one of the schools or whatever, some of the canned goods or whatever you done with it, you'd be, you know, on the legal aspect. Is that right, Ed?
Could I say one little thing about that? They did that in Fairplay, the old school. They've made a certified kitchen. Therefore, we could go in there, do our product, and if we wanted to sell it, we could. But it was an outrageous price. Even if I was keeping it for my own good, I could not come out paying them that price that they wanted to use that kitchen for the day, or even part of a day. So this is a good thing, absolutely, but it cannot be cost the way that they were trying.
Gotta be
Cost
cost
prohibitive.
efficient.
Yes, it's,
That's part
I
of
mean,
what we
that-
wanna talk about at the food
Yeah.
summit. That's
But I think that's
That,
something that we need to
Okay.
think
food,
about.
we need a food
Absolutely.
hub where we have a distribution
Absolutely.
center where people bring stuff in, or, you know, do what, value added, and the farm center is where it should be. So that's part of
so
what we're
much
talking
needs to go
about.
up there.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about, one thing I was thinking about is, in all parts of the county here, we've got community clubs. And, they've got their own buildings and kitchens and what have you.
Right.
And, you know, I thought about, you know, like in certain, like Long Creek, we've got a, you know, it's the school, it's an old school, but we've got a kitchen in that building. And I thought about, you know, the process and what it would cost to get it certified. You know, you would have an area here, and I know you got one in Mountain Rest. They've got a community club. If we had some way of, you know, most of your community clubs doesn't have any money. You know, they're just, a nonprofit organization out there just serving what they can do. But, you know, that might be something we could think about, and maybe there's any grant money out there that they could apply for. I mean, I know you got one, I like, say for instance, even the churches.
I was gonna say churches.
You know, your
I
church,
thought
like
of.
South Union has got, you know, their
Trinity
church has
does
got a
too.
little bit of everything.
We have a certified kitchen.
But, you know, that would be good that you would have something like that. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. Okay.
Let's keep those ideas. I hope you're coming to the
All right.
food summit.
I don't know, that's the date I've got another meeting I gotta go to.
possibly include that in the,
Now, let me tell you farmers about that voucher training that's coming up in February the 12th at 10 a.m.
Where?
Where did you get that information at?
Gwen sent it to me. Let me get the rest of it.
Where's it gonna be?
Hey,
Yes, that's part, I don't think she gave me that part of it, but it is gonna be the voucher training. It's probably in Walhalla, I would think. It's 'cause
Kitchen
I would think it would be there. Yeah, it says February the 12th, 10 a.m. till noon, plus your lunch.
Yeah, Walhalla, they just did that.
I would think, I'll get back with that, and if I have to, I'll call all of you to,
You just, yeah,
but
let's
that
let
is
us
the
know, 'cause-
voucher training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barney.
I've got 4 or 5 that's wanting that.
Yeah, I know Gwen worked on getting that, getting people here to do that, because we've been trying to do it for years.
Adam, have you heard any more from Dr. Forsman? Have y'all talked to him more about the backpack program?
Not any more than I sent out to you all, but the holidays have been on top of us, so.
We'll keep pushing. We'll figure it out if we can help in some way. So, that's all we have on the agenda, folks, and I think there's an athletic contest somewhere to be viewed, so
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. All those
all in favor?
Aye.